on, we're going to be talking about two of the quarterback situations in the NFL. Lentz is going to
Here we
take us.
go. Here we go.
Lentz is going to take us.
Okay.
Here we go.
So two quarterback situations that are hot topics right now going through these first few weeks of the season have been two teams that just played in the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott with the Cowboys. Now, there's two completely different situations. One is with the Cowboys, you got a rookie fourth-round pick coming in replacing a formerly top 10 quarterback due to injury. And then you got Aaron Rodgers, who was, for the last 4 or 5 years, been arguably the best quarterback in the league, and now just looks pedestrian. And I think there's been a lot of talk about, well, why does Aaron Rodgers look so bad? I think it's a little bit of everything. He just looks off. Everything about him just doesn't seem off. His mechanics don't seem right. His receivers not getting separation, which I think is too much. That's a little too overblown. His receivers has never really gotten separation. He's just always been able to get them open by throwing the ball. But it's like he doesn't trust his team as much as he used to. And we discussed this previously when I said part of that is a lot of his guys have left that he came up with, and he had that rapport with these guys, and now he doesn't have that rapport like he used to. And that's become a big issue because you don't see him. Like Jordy Nelson's not going to be – we know coming off of ACL, you have at least a year before you get back right. So this year is pretty much a toss-up for him. Randall Cobb is not a number one receiver. He's best served as a slot guy, third receiver at best. And then after that – yeah. And after that, you got big boy Eddie Lacy, who is just too big. He's big, and he can't do consecutive plays. If he gets an 8-yard run, he's done for the next play. You got to take him out. And then you got all these injuries. You have this offensive line that's not really that great, but not terrible as it's been in the past. And it's become a thing where he looks like he sees the rush before it gets there now. Like all the things we used to say about other quarterbacks, the David Carr, the Eli Manning,
Jason Campbell.
Jason Campbell, yeah. Any quarterback that played in Washington.
Oh, come on, man.
Jay Cutler, they see ghosts because they've been hit so much. And it seems like that's what's starting to happen with him. I think the difference is we've been so used to him being so absurdly great that now it's like, well, he looks pedestrian when he's still better than majority of the quarterbacks in the league. It just doesn't look good anymore. And then people look at the team like, well, the team still only has 2 losses, so it's not that big of a deal. But he just doesn't look good. He doesn't, like we said before, it doesn't look like he can carry the team anymore like he's been doing before. He had to carry that team because the defense was so bad. It doesn't look like that now. So I'll talk about Dak later, but I just wanted to get y'all's opinion on Aaron Rodgers. I'd love to hear what Turner got to say.
Let me jump in that thing real quick before Turner disagrees with everything you got to say. I agree with most of what you have to say, but I'm gonna put my personal feelings out there. I was an A-Rod believer ever since Favre left, and I still believe in the man. But I do feel like you said that the team is changing. I think it's more of a transition phase for him. You seen Ben Roethlisberger go through something similar in Pittsburgh a couple years back. He has to adjust to being able to win outside of just him putting the team on his back. And I think that's what they're trying to figure out. There's things that he uses his pure talent and skill set to make plays. That's not necessarily going to be something he can do all the time with this new roster, with these new players, with the new situations they have going on. With Minnesota playing so goddamn good against them, like there's more pressure on the team. So, like you said, he doesn't look good. He doesn't look as great as we've seen before. And that's just him not playing to a very, very high level, but he's still playing better than most quarterbacks. I just think it's a transition. I think right now there's just a big thing on with the quarterback play in the league being the way it is. People are looking at this as, well, maybe this is his down tick. I don't see this being a down tick for Aaron Rodgers at all. I see this being a transition. And, I mean, he's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to fix it, but until he does, we're just going to keep nitpicking at, oh, well, it doesn't look great.
I want to say this just right quick. I think it's a mistake in this situation in Houston and honestly in Washington for people to say, "Oh well, they're winning. It doesn't matter." There's so much. Yeah, exactly. There's so much more that goes into how that works. You have a team that's being, saved or whatever by their defense on a weekly basis or their run game. Eventually, you're going to need your quarterback to win you some games, especially when you're a team like Green Bay, who until this year hadn't really been known for their defense or their running game, honestly. The run game's done some things for them in playoff games, but they've never really been known for their running game keeping them going. You're going to get to a point where you need him to connect on some passes. The thing for me that's been most concerned about Aaron Rodgers is he's missing passes. I don't know if it's the guy's not gaining separation or just lack of chemistry with the guys that he has, but he's just straight up missed some passes. He had a couple passes to Randall Cobb the last couple games where he just went high for no apparent reason. That's not going to win you games. And the worst thing you want to do is go into the playoffs hoping that your quarterback can be bailed out by a defense and run game and have teams start game planning for that. He's supposed to be the guy that you're supposed to be afraid of, and I don't think people are afraid of him right now. If I'm playing against the Packers right now, especially like Lynch said about the offensive line right now, I'm not afraid of Aaron Rodgers. If we can contain the run game and make him have to throw the ball a little bit quickly, he's missing on those anticipation throws, so I feel like we got a pretty good chance. Turner, you got any thoughts?
I have a whole bunch of thoughts on this.
I gotta stopwatch.
I'm looking up. Oh no, don't put the stopwatch on me now. Okay, so I've seen about 2.5 games, and y'all know that I'm a stat guy. So I look at the stats, I look at what I see. He's 5th in total QBR right now, but I can't agree with that. He looks bad. He looks bad. Like he's always been one to avoid interceptions. He already has 4. And that's not something that we're used to seeing from him. And a couple of the interceptions that I saw, he literally threw it right to the cornerback. And that's not something he ever does. I was talking to Levin in the group, one of my coworkers today, and his accuracy to me, like his mechanics have never been top notch, but like his mechanics, like he made a few throws Sunday, and they were all upper body, like even in a clean pocket, all upper body, no stepping into the throws or nothing like that. And it just appears that his accuracy and his decision making have all declined precipitously at the same time. And there's really not an explanation for it. I mean, the way that he looks like he throws, like there's some type of lower body injury there. But I don't really, I mean, he runs, he's still mobile, he can still make the insane throws on occasion. I don't think it's separation as much. I think Jordy got separation a lot, especially on deep patterns. But now after the torn ACL, it's going to be more difficult for him to do that. Cobb usually got open a lot in the slot. I don't know exactly what that's about with him not even being able to hit Cobb, but he just doesn't look right, man. I'm looking at his games. He had a QBR of, he's had a 35, a 51, an 84, a 69, and a 99. So that's not bad, but his completion percentage on the year is 60.2. Like, I'm not sure exactly, and that doesn't count drops. But I was
just about to ask you about drops because Devontae Adams got about 120 himself.
Yeah, that doesn't count drops. He just doesn't look right, man. And I just feel like we can't continue to put it on his receivers not gaining separation or his offensive line. We can't do that. Like, at some point, like, we have to look at it and say, you know what? Like, Aaron Rodgers just isn't the same Aaron Rodgers that we know. And I think once we start doing that, that'll set a new baseline. Like, we don't really need to keep him up with MVP 2011 A-Rod. I don't think he's that guy anymore for whatever reason. It's a mixture of all of those factors. I just think that it's sad. It's honestly sad to see him decline like this. But I don't think that. I mean, this is a year and a half now. Like, how much longer do we need to wait? I mean, I understand Jordy not being there, but great quarterbacks even elevate their 2 and 3 receivers. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Like, we can't look at him like it's the receivers and just separation. Something's wrong with him at this point. I don't know.
I got a question about that, AJT. Just putting this out there, not really trying to disagree or anything. I agree with what you're saying. Like, it's been a year and a half. It's kind of showing that maybe this is the way it is. I can understand that. You made a good point. But just something that reminded me when you're talking about the timing with the receivers, because like I said, I've been watching a lot of Houston Texans games, and I know Brock Osweiler's playing horrible, but I do know last week he kind of said something about, well, it's not the playbook. It's not that I don't understand defenses. It's the timing with the receivers. I haven't worked with them well enough. Do you think maybe that could be a little bit of A-Rod's situation as well, that he's had such good chemistry with some of these receivers because they've been together, and now with the injuries happening and then with the offensive line changing personnel at times, there's a lot of unknowns. And let's just say, just putting it out there, A-Rod has lived off his talent. So he's known what he's had. Now he doesn't know. And you're finding out that if he's not sure, this is what he looks like when he's not sure. When he first got the job, he looked good, but he didn't look MVP good. It took him a little while. Well, maybe that's what's going on now. I do kind of wonder if that could be something involved with the whole, like, having a certain amount of practice time with the players while their team is still transitioning. Could that be holding them back? It's just kind of a question for you guys.
I think that's kind of it, and I think it's also akin to, like, we talk about a top flight receiver, athletic receiver, and you say he's lost a step. It's kind of like that. A-Rod's lost a step, except he's not running. He just doesn't have that same arm talent. He doesn't look good. Like AJT said, like last year, everybody pretty much put it off. Well, he doesn't have Jordy Nelson, so that's what it is. But at the same time, he didn't look good last year, but it was just cast aside. Now this year, he looks the same, and it's like, okay, well, maybe it is him. And I've seen so many excuses from blaming McCarthy to blaming the play calling and switching the play calling and the receivers and everything. It's only so much, like you said, like I agree with AJT. It's only so much. There's only so far you can go. I've agreed with that because there's only so far you can go before you look at the quarterback. And I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't look at him when I was saying the same thing about Peyton a year before anyone else said it. That he didn't look the same, and there's something wrong with him. So there's clearly something wrong with A-Rod. We don't know what it is. There's nothing on the injury report. I've heard that he had personal things and going. I don't get into all of that. That's BS to me. But personal issues at home or whatever. But I mean, there's clearly something wrong with him. Clearly, you can see it. He just doesn't look good at all. But even in saying that, he's still better than 24 to 32 starting quarterbacks. So I mean, even at what we think is worse, he's still better than 90% of the league.
He's better than Geno.
I don't think the math comes up to 90% when you say 24 out of
It's not 90%. Okay, 32 divided by 24.
I wasn't sure who it was. I knew somebody was going to say that.
Wait, didn't they math his strength? Now he's checking other people on their math, huh?
Hey, I didn't think numbers like that, like 24 out of 32. I mean, I broke it down. It's like 60 something or 70.
Nah, it's more than that.
It ain't 90. How about that?
It's not 90. It's not 90. It's in the 80s.
This is not math, politicking, and agree to disagree. It's
math, politicking.